Welcome back. Now, China's vice premier is in Washington today. He's resuming trade talks with President Trump's trade representative and Treasury Secretary. After months of negotiations, there are still difficult issues to be ironed out. There's the question of how to enforce any agreement. The US says it must have a way to police China's compliance to make sure the agreed deal is implemented. Next is tariffs. The US currently has tariffs on $250 billion, in fact, worth of Chinese goods. Beijing wants them lifted right away, but the US would prefer to keep some in place in case it's unhappy with China's implementation. And finally, the US is demanding rules that basically effectively protect the intellectual property of its businesses. While Malaysia's trade minister says the US and China need to stop thinking of just themselves and consider the impact on countries like this. Darell Leiking joins me now live from New York. Minister, thank you very much for joining us. Why do you say that you're basically saying you're calling for greater responsibility from Washington and Beijing? Why do they need to take greater responsibility?
Hi, hello, Isa. Yes, we'd like the Americans and the Chinese to consider all other countries like Malaysia and their trading nations. Whether we are small or big, we've contributed much to their economies as well. So we would love them to find a solution, a quick solution, so that business can keep on going in our country and in other countries that trade with both America and China.
You say in an article that I read today that,
Yes.
that China-US should stop thinking of themselves.
Yes.
Are you already, Minister, seeing a slowdown in business? What's the nervousness, the correlations between what's happening with China and the US and how that's impacting Malaysia?
A lot of businesses are slowing down simply because they are just taking a cautious stance for now, knowing full well that America and China are still negotiating. But what we're trying to say to America and China, who are both our friends, we are both trading with them, to consider all the some sort of a global responsibility so that they can ensure that their decision between themselves can be resolved very quickly, and then we can go ahead with the daily business that we do as a global economy. Malaysia is one of the global value chain supplier of the world, as well as many other ASEAN countries. So we would really like something positive coming out of the negotiation between the Americans and the Chinese real soon.
Are you losing pace, Malaysia losing patience with what we're seeing between China and with the US? Have you had enough now?
No, it's not that. It's more about there's a big urgency because today the world economy is not only solely America or China. Everybody's involved, and we have to think of everyone in the whole ecosystem, the whole global system, to ensure that we will carry on doing business as usual, and that all the implications because of what has happened in the last 2 years will be resolved soon. And you know, Malaysia will be a victim of any decision that they make, and also benefit on any resolution that they come with.
Pardon my ignorance, but would Malaysia not benefit in any way from the trade war as US importers look to shift their supply, let's say, chains away from China? Would you not have benefited because of that in some way?
I think the word benefit is not right. We wouldn't want to have anybody having any tariff war. Malaysia is for peace, economic peace, and any other piece. So we want to make sure that the whole global supply chain continues to serve all countries, as well as America and China. And while Malaysia has been said to have benefited, I think the question of benefit should not be a claim that we should take, but rather we want to be part of a solution to everyone else. So we know that jobs are needed, the liquidity in our markets are needed, and the constant need for supply and demand must be there, you know. And Malaysia wants to be part of this entire solution by telling China and America to consider all countries that are connected to them, because we have all contributed somehow to their economy.